But before I start, I just want to capture for you all what it is that we were doing at AppFormix and where it is that we are going. So in a previous life, I was an operator. I mean, I've built product for many years, but then in between there, I was an operator. And the biggest challenge that I had was visibility. Anytime there was a disruption, I didn't have access to the data to figure out why the disruption existed. And I didn't have enough data to troubleshoot in real time. So the three key things that we are trying to solve with AppFormix is solving that challenge for operations, although these same things also apply to security. The first one's, of course, real-time visibility. But we just don't want visibility from a device. We want visibility from everywhere. Devices, your networks, your servers, your hosts, your virtual machines running in the cloud, your applications, all of it. All of that visibility in a single platform, and all of it in real time. We want no lag there. If there is a disruption and you need to troubleshoot, we want you to have access to the most accurate information in a very timely fashion. The second thing, or the second challenge really, is about processing all of that information, right? Humans can't do it anymore. There's just too much of it. Every generation of system that comes out spews out even more data than the previous generation, and it spews it out even faster. There's just so many metrics that we can capture that nobody can sit in front of a screen and run that analysis anymore. So you need some kind of ML to take that data and convert it into some kind of KPI that's much more easy to consume. And again, do that in a timely enough fashion so that you can use that result to drive some kind of automation. And that's the third one, automation. If you don't want to be woken up in the middle of the night, you need to automate, right? I can tell you, my life was hell. I was being woken up all the time, and the only thing I could do was call 6 other people. Everybody got on their consoles trying to look at different things, query the data directly on the device, and you never really could solve the problem. You're always behind the problem. So with that kind of goal in mind, right, these 3 things about visibility, applying ML to convert the visibility into KPIs, and then running the automation based on the KPIs, we built AppFormix. And you can think of AppFormix as this platform in which you can capture telemetry for all of those devices, systems, and applications, right? Using the traditional method, like if you still do SNMP, but most importantly, all of the streaming interfaces can stream directly into AppFormix. So if you use JTI, you use OpenConfig, you can stream directly into AppFormix. For modern systems, we even have an agent-based architecture that can directly be installed on the systems, on the Linux-based systems, and then harness read the telemetry on the system and then stream it all the way to the AppFormix platform. Now, beyond just capturing the telemetry, what's unique about AppFormix is that built into AppFormix is a generation of streaming algorithms that can convert that raw telemetry into KPIs as that information is flowing through the system. All of that processing is done using in-memory algorithms, extremely efficient and extremely fast, without the need to do any kind of database read-write operations, right? And then, as I was saying, based off those KPIs, you can then run your automation as well. So most recently, we've also announced a series of bots, Juniper bots. So all of these bots can then use this AppFormix platform, the telemetry that's available in it, the analytics that are available in it, to then produce for you further applications and create additional value for you. So with that, let's just look at a quick preview. I'm going to do previews. Travis will do the live demos. So as you can see, there's the topology mapping is there. You have your systems the hosts, the virtual machines, as well as the switches and routers. Everything can be automatically discovered and mapped, right? And then, of course, there's the telemetry capture. Now, the unique thing about AppFormix is that as you're viewing this GUI, it's a web application written in Angular. And this GUI is actually, when you log in, joins the message bus. And the devices can stream information to the bus, which is then streamed all the way to the GUI. So this is a real-time experience. So when you're on that dashboard, this is information being streamed from the device all the way to the GUI without any kind of database in the path, right? And as that information is flowing, again, the in-memory algorithms are also producing the KPIs and pushing that to the web browser as well.
So you said that the devices can stream telemetry. What devices specifically are we talking about? Just so I'm clear on what we're able to monitor here.
Yep. So, so the devices can, Juniper devices can stream JTI and OpenConfig, and non-Juniper devices can stream OpenConfig, so gRPC. So it's JTI is UDP, extremely efficient, and then OpenConfig is TCP based.
Okay.
Yeah?
Thank you.
And then, of course, for backward compatibility, we can also poll SNMP. So for that same device, you can have the new and the old, just in case you're used to the old and you need something to hold your hand while you migrate to the new.
Or if you have an entire network currently built with the old.
Yeah.
Right.
And see, and that's really what's key here, because, I mean, your network is evolving. Not everything has the newer interfaces. And then, within this, with AppFormix, you can get both the old and the new side by side.
Awesome.
But to be clear, he did say that SNMP is backwards.
Yeah. I was going to get that.
I know he said backwards with compatibility, but I'm going to interpret it the way I want.
Yeah, I mean, as I said, I was an operator. I have used it in production, not just built it previously. So next. So for, of course, I mean, we can do all the cool networking stuff, but really the roots of AppFormix were in doing like cloud and systems and applications. And again, the same stack can layer on top of your entire environment. And what's unique there is that as you layer on top of your environment, whether it be VMware or the Google Cloud or Amazon or Azure, it automatically learns your environment from that management system. So what are your servers? How do they connect to the network? What are your virtual machines? What are the applications? It automatically imports all that information into AppFormix and makes it visible to you in real time. So you don't ever have to come into AppFormix and tell it, this is what you need to monitor. You just say, hey, here are my management systems. From there, we automatically import all the topology into AppFormix and construct that data model for you. And then built on top of that is a series of applications for analysis, for capacity planning, running the orchestration. Another unique thing in AppFormix is that it's completely multi-tenant. It's got role-based access built in, so different users in the organization can log in and essentially look at their footprint of the infrastructure and operate their footprint of the infrastructure.
Just a quick question. How is it working with, let's say, legacy equipment that is not, let's say, in any of these management infrastructure embedded?
So for legacy equipment, what we have is an extensible API, and then we just have to write some adapters to export from the legacy into AppFormix. But yeah, so it can be done though. We have
basically you can also support any kind of, let's say, old school legacy network. You can add anything. Okay.
Yes, I mean, we have several forms of import. It could be a CSV file, it could be a JSON file. We could get it from your CMDB. We've supported many things. Yeah. And then also, of course, the last one, which seems not exciting, but our users are finding extremely useful, is the billing, the chargeback capability that's built into AppFormix, because nobody wants to be a cost center anymore. So you can essentially take AppFormix, layer it on top of your infrastructure with the role-based access, assign departments, assign rate cards within AppFormix, and then we can measure the actual usage, convert it into invoices that can be shared with your users. So completely unexpected, but it's been a hugely successful feature for us. With that, just quickly the next demo. So as I was saying, you can monitor your host. So on some of the hosts, you saw the R sign. That was remote monitoring. So it's remotely monitoring the device using IPMI or SNMP. And then for some hosts or Linux-based devices, you can install the agent on them that are going to stream the telemetry to it. Now, in this case, it's showing me a single host. It's also discovered the virtual machines that are running on the host, and it can, show you that entire stack on a single GUI in real time. Now, the other unique thing is that if I click on the project icon there, what it does is it constructs this view for me of all of the different components that make up a single application, no matter where they are running in your infrastructure. They could be running on-prem or in the cloud. They could be containers or they could be VMs. And we can construct this real-time view for you.
How many data points do you measure for the devices? Is it an interval or event-driven or?
So it's configurable. With just, for things like JTI and OpenConfig, you can fine-tune the knob. You can even do sub-second.
Okay.
And we also have this ability to make it adaptive, as in when you see a certain condition, it makes it more frequent. When there's no condition, it makes it less frequent. For things like SNMP, we could do that 1 second, but what we found is that legacy gear, if you do anything less than several minutes, it just kind of doesn't keep up. So we've built in additional checks into the software to ensure that we do the back off. Yeah.
And you do not support Windows at this time, right? I think you've.
We do not. We do, but we do not. Okay. We do not officially support it.
Okay, because I've heard you twice say Linux system. So
so for the agent, the audience is Linux-based systems.
Okay.
Yeah. We did support it in the startup,
Gotcha.
But going forward, Linux is where the priority is. And then just the part about automation. Right? So of course, the first thing is the visibility. We want to be able to monitor all devices and services in real time, then convert it into KPIs, and then run the automation based on those KPIs. Right? Now, this could be in the network, in the servers. It could mean moving workloads around. It could be changing bandwidth or QoS, whatever it may be. So let me just show you a quick example of this. So in this environment, what I have is I've set up a KPI on my server farm for checking load. And the KPI, essentially, the violation is that if the load goes high and stays high, then we say that, hey, this particular server or this host is at risk, and you should migrate the workload away from the host. This is just an example. It could be a NIC dropping packets. It could be anything. It could be link flaps. But in this example, it's the load, because it's easy for me to simulate quickly. So again, it's a real-time interface. The agents are streaming all the information to the browser. And you saw the load went high. It's put it at risk, and it gives you the reason why it's putting something at risk. Those SLAs are multidimensional. And under the hood, in those SLAs, either you can statically configure the thresholds, or we can dynamically baseline using clustering algorithms. So modern environments, that dynamic baselining feature has been extremely useful, especially in the telco environments, where once now they're starting to onboard the different network functions onto software. they're just onboarding them and they don't know what the performance levels should be and how those things should operate or what kind of load they need on the systems. So with AppFormix, you can dynamically baseline those environments and essentially set up those SLAs.
Just a quick question on that. How long do you store the data points? How long can I scroll back to have a good baseline?
So again, it's completely configurable.
Okay.
It's an extremely configurable system, and you control it. So there's multiple data streams. We have a stream that stores the raw telemetry. You configure how much duration you want to store it for. There's a stream that we store for capacity planning, which is essentially summaries of data. Again, you pick how long you want to store that for. There's also a stream in which we store all the events. Those could be things like traditional SNMP traps or KPIs that we generate in AppFormix. Again, you choose how long you want to store it for, and then there's the historical trending data that again you choose. So there's 4 independent streams in the system, and you get to pick the duration of each one.
So literally the limit is only the stars that I
That's
have
it.
available. Yeah.
Absolutely. And and the reason we are able to do that is because as I've been showing you the GUI, and I've been talking about all the analysis, all of that is using in-memory algorithms. So you're not doing database reads and writes to process those KPIs. The database is mostly, when the information is being generated, the database is just the sink. You're just writing to it, and then once in a while you read from it. And because we use the message bus, if 10 users are logged into the system, all of our sessions are on that message bus, so the information is only put on it once. So it's extremely efficient for end user access as well.
So the load will not increase even if many people are logged in.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah. So with that, one more thing. So this is a project we've been working on, and I mean, this is ultimately where we are headed. So what's next here is that we want to essentially build a system that becomes your assistant. If let's say you want to do operations, we want to give you an AI-based assistant. So what we've done is we've changed the user experience to use natural language processing. And then once you use the system, we also want to essentially, I mean, it's an assistant, so we want to tailor the experience to the user. As in, you can teach it skills. And then based on things happening, it's going to recommend actions to you, and then you can take those actions. So let me just show you a quick preview. And it is voice operated, but we're going to have to be really quiet to hear it because the voice is not transmitting to the speakers.
How are the clusters today?
All nodes and services are up.
Okay, alert me if anything goes wrong.
I will alert you if anything happens. Incoming alert, US East 1 cluster needs attention. Incoming alert, DDoS attack detected on service chain 1 in the US East 1 cluster.
So this is the integration we have with Content and AppFormix. All the detection is automated. It can show you the topology localized to where the fault is as well. So visually show you, what's broken.
Applied a drop rule on the source subnets of the attack.
And take the action as well. So this is
Successfully mitigated the clusters are back to normal. I will alert you if anything happens.
Very Jarvis.
This is what we are building up to, and really the way we are building the experience is essentially it's a system which has the telemetry, which can do all the analysis, which can find all the faults, and then you can teach it skills as to what to do when a certain type of fault is detected. And then based on that, it's going to show you the cards, you can pick the option, and it's going to take the action. And then longer term, really the hope is that you'll trust it enough to say, hey, this type of fault, just automatically take the action and don't wake me up.
So can you talk a little bit about the machine learning bits on the inside? It looks, I mean, how are you teaching it? Is it unsupervised learning? How does it ascertain what is a deviation from baseline?
So we actually support both supervised and unsupervised.
Okay.
Because what we found is that for some things, you just have to dictate to it the kind of KPIs you want out of the system. For the unsupervised learning, we are mostly using clustering algorithms, things like k-means that can identify, the apples and the oranges. But what we've done is we've taken, those algorithms and what I'd say is converted them to online algorithms, as in, if you think about it, the patterns vary, right? Monday 9 a.m. versus Friday 5 p.m. are completely different. So we've taken the algorithms, adapted them so that they become aware of, those effects. So we're essentially learning multiple clusters at the same time, and then based on deviations, we can start to predict these faults.
Right, so over time, it will learn that Friday nights are less busy
Yep.
than Monday mornings, and then it just continues to learn that
That's
based
it.
on the unsupervised model.
Yes. And then we support both. Let's say when you start the system up, there's no historical data in there.
Right.
So it'll be a forward-looking model. But then if you do want to give it the training data, then it can look backward and train itself based on that data as well.
Which is the whole point of ML.
Right,
Train
right.
the machine to
Yeah.
make a prediction.
What,
Yeah,
what
but
type of neural net
Neural net. All right.
technology on the back end of that?
Getting
are you
good.
using?
We're not that sophisticated yet.
Okay.
We found the basic things to be predictable and easier to explain to the users and for them to digest as well, right? You got to trust this thing to do something for you. So you got to explain it and rationalize it as well.
Okay.
So I have to ask, with the whole voice feature of it, that just seems like something that I would never want in a production environment. I wouldn't want something telling me in my ear, or if you had a knocking, you had multiple ones of these. That sort of thing going off just seems like it would be a distraction to me, and maybe I'm missing what the purpose of it is, or if you could explain what the reasoning for that integration was.
So it's your preference. If you don't like the voice, it goes to Slack. So it's really however you want to use the system, but the idea is that we want to make it interactive and it's NLP based. So voice is just a form of input. But the key thing there was that it can detect the faults. It can, and based on your profile, it can suggest actions to you, and then it can take those actions.
Okay.
Yeah.
What's the length of the training cycle like before it can start to do automated responses?
So here's how we did this. Will you cover this in your?
Yeah, I can cover that.
So Travis will cover it in the demo, but you essentially say the time duration over which you want you want the system to learn the model, and then as more and more data becomes available, it keeps improving the model.